Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Hold on to your hats. You are going to see a video now where it is truly, truly sad. It's funny. You're not going to want to miss this one. It's funny, but it's so very, very sad. Humza Yousaf is so deluded that he honestly thinks that he's way, way better than he is. He has insisted, and get this, that he's not an election loser. He thinks he's someone who represents the winning side. People look at him and see a natural winner. Has he lost all grip on reality? Has he failed to see what has happened ever since he has come to the leadership of the SNP? It's been very nearly a year, not quite a year. And every policy he has had has fallen apart. Every election they have fought, he has lost. He has had people leaving his party and crossing the floor of the House or of various councils up and down the country. He has overseen failure after failure after failure, and he still thinks he's a winner. But what's worse is that he says that even if after this general election he loses half the seats, he's still going to stay because he's a winner. He's already admitting he's likely to lose half the seats. The man needs to go back onto the antipsychotic medication. Let's take a look. So Humza Yousaf insists he's not an election loser, despite 9 defeats in a row under his under his leadership. The First Minister was forced to defend his record as SNP leader ahead of a Glasgow City Council by-election, where his party could slump to a 10th defeat in a row. Oh my God, look at this picture. It's the worst Bee Gees tribute group ever, isn't it? My God, she's only there in case they walk past the Gregs. I mean, honestly, losers, losers, losers. All of them. Humza Yousaf has insisted he's not an election loser. Delusional. Despite the SNP crashing to 9 by-election defeats in a row since he was installed as leader. He was speaking at a party event in Glasgow where he told Scots to vote for the nationalists to reverse Brexit. And he campaigned alongside a Hill-head council candidate. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter how much you vote for the nationalists. It will not reverse Brexit. Where does he think he is? Who does he think he is? Does he not understand that Brexit is a national UK level thing and that he's only a regional governor? Who knows? I tell you what, I'm going to be pretty sure that Craig Houston will have fun on this as well, and I'm going to keep an eye out because I think Craig will do a take on this as well. He'll come from a slightly different angle because he does, but I look forward to seeing Craig's as well. Anyway, the First Minister has presided over a failed campaign, a number of failed campaigns. In fact, everything's been a failure. There is not one thing, not one policy or election or vote or anything that he can point to since leader and say he's had a victory or he's had a win. Nothing. The various things that they have brought in have always been controversial and terrible. And the amount of U-turns he's done, he's like a whirling dervish. He's surprised he's not falling over dizzy. He's what U-turned that much. Anyway, he's got all these failed campaigns since replacing Nicola Sturgeon. He's had 8 council election losses, including 5 where the SNP were defending the seat. So 5/8 of the time they were trying to defend a seat they had and lost it. And then, of course, you had Rutherglen and Hamilton West, which was miraculous in the swing. 20% swing from SNP to Labour. 20%. Even Curtis himself on the night was astonished. At the beginning, before they'd got the count announced, 10 o'clock comes, they cut over, see the results as they come in. And Curtis said if he was expecting a 5 or 6% swing, SNP to Labour, he said if Labour got a 10% swing, he said it would be exceptional. And then at the end, when they showed it was a 20% swing, he was astonished. And this is Curtis. Anyway, here we go. The most high-profile defeat came in the Rutherglen and Hamilton West by-election we just talked about. And they mentioned there the 20% swing. Anyway, polling expert Sir John Curtis highlighted if the swing was replicated north of the border at the general election, it would mean that Anna Sarwar's party became the dominant one in Scotland and would result in more than 20 seat losses for the First Minister. Well, some of the polls subsequent to this are showing 30%, oh, not 30%, 30 seats being lost. He could lose 30 seats. It's possible. And again, I'm going to have to go with Craig on this one. For heaven's sake, think about tactical voting. Get them down to single figures and you can destroy the SNP virtually overnight. It's got to be worth doing. One election only. Hold your nose. Vote anti-SNP. Don't vote for someone. Vote against the SNP. Anyway, Mr. Yousaf denied that he was an election loser. Well, I don't even know what to say. I mean, how can you possibly sit there and say you're not an election loser when you've lost 10 on the trot? Anyway, he said that when these damning statistics were pointed out to him by the Scottish Daily Express, he claimed that he was still quite confident that he would lead the party to victory the next time Scots go to the polls. And if by victory you mean losing half your seats, then yes, I suppose. He was asked whether he was an election loser and responded, no. I'll be going into the general election hoping to win the general election. I've got to point out, if you want to win the general election, you need about 329 seats. And since you're only fighting in 57, it's going to be hard. He said, I won't go into some of the difficulties that the party has had, of course, over the last 12 months. Mainly, you. You are the biggest difficulty. He says, but my goal is to win as many elections as I can. Well, you can't win this one, sweetheart. I have to say, having myself been re-elected with an increased majority last time Holyrood elections took place, yes, but very, very different circumstances. You still had dear Leaderine in charge. She brooked no argument and you were actually doing quite well. But now, not so much. In fact, I've got to be honest, Humza Yousaf's seat should, and I know it's not up because he's Holyrood elections, not general election, but you just need to look at the numbers and see the swing and then apply that. Should it have been a Holyrood election? I suspect that if it was a Holyrood election with the swing that's about to happen, he'll lose his seat. That'd be a shame, wouldn't it? Anyway, he says, I'm quite confident I get the party winning the next election. I'm quite confident you can't possibly. You might do well in Scotland. You might win the most Scottish seats. That's not winning the election, is it, you idiot? He says a win at Westminster election is key to the SNP's independent strategy, which Mr. Yousaf has got wrong in the past, time and time and time again. The party voted through proposals at the last conference which say it will seek to break up the UK if it wins the majority of seats in Scotland. So it could end up with, say, 30% of the vote and think that that is a mandate. I'm afraid that's not how it works. It was initially the most, but it was changed through an amendment because who knows why? Neither of them count. What was the Sturgeon one was the 50% plus one vote. I will say that at least that has some legitimacy because you are talking over half the people. Simply a third of the people is not a mandate. It's a mandate to lose. If it's a mandate for anything, it's a mandate for the union. 70% of people wanting the union. It's a very dodgy understanding of maths these people have, isn't it? Anyway, recent polling has put the SNP dominance in Scotland under major threat as a resurgent Scottish Labour is predicted to take a number of constituencies in the central belt. Some pollsters have even said it could be a Glasgow wipeout for the nationalists, an embarrassment for a formerly yes city. And I'm not surprised, more and more increasingly people are seeing the SNP for what they are, for how dangerous they are, for how destructive they are, and for how useless they are. And on top of that, basic criminality, shadiness, snidiness, secrecy, the lying, the inability to even answer basic questions with anything approaching the truth. And people are fed up with it, thankfully. Anyway, the 8 council by-election defeats in a row could become 9 in March as the Nationalists are fighting the Hillhead seat, which was vacated following the death of Labour councillor Hanzala Malik, with Ballot Box Scotland believing this will be a two-horse race between Scottish Greens and the incumbent party. We shall see. I think Labour will undoubtedly win it, and win it big. I don't think there's enough Greens in that area to offer much of a challenge. But we shall see. We shall keep an eye on it. But it's going to be a challenge for him. But how the hell do they sit there and say they're not a party of losers? Unbelievable. And boys, I'll say to the two boys there, keep moving. You stop, she'll think you're food and she'll eat you. Coming up. Humza, not a loser. You get lost for words. These people live truly through the looking glass. They live in an alternative reality where they think that what goes on inside there is what goes on out here. And I'm afraid he's going to have to learn. And he'll learn at Hillhead. That'll be Labour, undoubtedly. I don't know why they're bothering putting up some, whiskerless youth to fight the seat. Bit of practice, I suppose. But it's not a party of losers. My giddy aunt. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button. I genuinely do. I think this one's been amusing. I think hopefully you're sitting in now, happy enough, you'll hit that button. Anyway, till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.